Adaora feared men more than failure, and no one knew why, until her story began to unfold. Welcome to Tales by Ebony Black, the home of emotional African stories. Kaodinna's visits began innocently enough. Whenever Adaora's parents and brothers stepped out, he would stroll into the compound, pretending he only came around to check on her brothers or borrow something. But Adaora quickly noticed the pattern. He always appeared when the house was quiet, when she was alone, when there was no supervision. Her mind immediately went back to the teachings of the Reverend Sisters in boarding school. Never stay in a secluded place with the opposite sex. Protect your purity. Protect your dignity. So even when Kaodinna tried to step inside the house, Adaora would quickly stop him with a smile. "Let's stay outside. The sitting area is fine." At first he looked surprised, but he didn't argue. The two of them would sit at the open veranda, where the breeze was gentle and the sun rested on their skin. Adaora felt safer there. There were no doors to close, no rooms to darken, no shadows to hide intentions. She repeated one scripture to herself whenever fear tried to rise. Flee from every appearance of evil. She wasn't calling him evil, no. But she didn't want to give room for temptation. Not for him, not for herself. She had heard too many stories, especially from her brother's friends. Sometimes those boys would come to the house and sit in the living room, laughing loudly as they narrated how they deceived girls, how they promised love they didn't mean, how they collected gifts and money from them, how they slept with them and later mocked them by name. Adaora remembered the laughter, the wicked pride, the excitement they expressed as if hurting innocent girls was a game. Those stories carved deeper wounds into her young mind than she realized at the time. It was then she concluded, men were dangerous, men fooled, men deceived, men did not love. Kaodinna was different, or at least she hoped he was. But the stories stayed in her heart like shadows. With time, however, she began to enjoy his company. He talked gently, unlike most boys she knew. He didn't push, he didn't pressure. He didn't profess love either, because Adaora never gave him the room. She would always change the topic whenever conversations drifted toward emotions. Still, she liked how he made her laugh. She liked how he respected her boundaries, even when he didn't understand them. And gradually, without knowing it, he became the first boy she allowed close to her world. Then came the day the long-awaited admission letter arrived. Adaora screamed when she saw her name on the list. Her parents danced, prayed, and offered Thanksgiving right there in the sitting room. And Kaodinna, he was the happiest of all after her parents. He lifted her slightly off the ground and spun her, something he had never done before. That tiny moment made her heart thump, though she quickly stepped back, shy and scared. Kaodinna, though older, had not yet gained university admission. He was still trying, still waiting, still writing entrance exams. But he celebrated Adaora's success like it was his own. Shortly after, Adaora resumed university. Her parents paid every fee without hesitation. She settled into her new environment quickly. Lectures, registration, hostel life. One quiet afternoon on campus, her phone rang. It was Kaodinna. "Ada, I'm coming to see you," he said, excitement thick in his voice. "I want to know where you live. I want to see your school." Adaora froze. For a moment she couldn't speak. No boy had ever visited her alone. No man had ever come into her personal space on campus. But something inside her, something soft, warm, hopeful, made her smile. "Okay," she said quietly. "You can come." That whole day she floated on joy. She hummed gospel songs in the hostel, cleaned her corner, arranged her books, and even dressed better than usual. Her classmates noticed her glowing mood. "Why are you smiling like this?" one girl asked. Adaora simply shook her head with a shy grin. The excitement was too much. Her heart was too loud. Her fear and her curiosity wrestled within her. University life introduced Adaora to a world she had never known, a world where people admired her openly, where boys stared a little too long, and where her beauty, combined with her intelligence, class, and innocence, made her unforgettable. Yet, in matters of the heart, Adaora remained a child. She was socially naive, sheltered by years of Catholic teachings and her own self-built walls. One afternoon on campus, a classmate gathered the courage to approach her. He smiled shyly, scratched his head, and began stammering through a confession of love. Words Adaora had never heard directed at her before. Before he could finish, Adaora panicked. Her mind flashed back to her CRS teacher's lessons. Girls respond to what they hear. Boys respond to what they see. Protect your purity. Protect your heart. And so, without thinking, she screamed. Her sharp cry echoed across the hallway. Students turned, heads swiveled. The poor boy froze like a statue, then bolted away in shame. The other boys who had been preparing to approach her scattered instantly, disappearing like smoke. Adaora stood trembling, embarrassed but unable to apologize. She didn't mean to humiliate him. She simply couldn't bear to hear romantic words that might weaken her resolve. She didn't want anything that could push her away from her vow. Days passed, weeks drifted. Adaora focused on her books, her fellowship meetings, and her quiet life. Then one sunny afternoon, her phone rang. It was Kaodinna. Ada, I'm at the school gate. Her heart leaped. She didn't even think. She ran. The moment she saw him, all her careful rules dissolved. She hugged him tightly, innocently, warmly, until she suddenly remembered herself and stepped back quickly. Kaodinna only smiled. They walked to a small eatery inside the campus. They talked endlessly, laughing like two children reunited after months apart. In those moments, Adaora forgot about her fears, her vow, her rules. She just enjoyed being with someone who understood her. But then Kaodinna's expression changed. He became quiet, nervous. His fingers tapped the table slowly. Ada, my visa is out. Her smile vanished. In a few days, I'll be traveling to the US. The words sliced through her like a knife. Adaora's eyes widened, then the tears began to fall, heavy and unstoppable. She cried in a way she had never cried before. She cried as if something precious was being taken from her. Kaodinna reached forward, pulling her into his arms, trying to calm her. But he couldn't stop his own tears. Two young hearts, breaking openly in a public eatery. After several minutes, he lifted her chin gently. I will come back for you, he whispered. When I graduate, I'll return. It took time, but eventually Adaora's sobs softened. She wiped her tears, forced a weak smile, and walked him back to the gate. When he disappeared from view, her body deflated. She returned to her hostel and cried into her pillow until exhaustion swallowed her. And then she slept. For the first time in her life, she dreamed of her guardian angel, tall, bright, peaceful, silent. She woke with a surprising calmness in her spirit. She believed, deeply, that her angel had accelerated Kaodinna's visa to prevent distraction, to keep her focused, to protect her vow. Life moved on. Months turned into semester after semester. By her third year, Adaora had recovered, grown, and rebuilt her quiet routines. Then, one afternoon, she met him. A handsome young man. Gentle eyes, a calm smile, a face strikingly similar to hers. Someone who would change everything. Next episode loading. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share to friends.